We are
We
on.
are on.
All right. Welcome everyone.
Hello.
Thanks. That's why those eyes were peering up at us. I wonder what he's going to say. Welcome everyone to this special edition of Migrations to Databricks with Lakebridge. Why is it a special edition? Two reasons. Number one is we're seeing a flood, and you probably are seeing this too, a flood of interest and activity around, hey, I want to explore or understand better EDW migrations or migrations from on-prem databases to Databricks. Number two is that we, I think, are at an inflection and a kind of a shift in strategy where we're really baking and bringing the tooling together. And so I'm joined with my esteemed colleague, Guenia Izquierdo.
So close.
So close. Who is the product engineering manager for our tooling, our migration tooling. So, Guenia, welcome.
Thank you. And with me, we have John Young,
Yeah,
our MD for Field Engineering Partners.
All right. So, right, no surprise, you're going to hear from me that legacy data warehouses are an expensive anchor for every enterprise, and it's time to move, right? So, does anyone in here disagree with that? So I just want to kind of sort of level set. And feel free to say, yeah, I disagree with that. Okay, so on-prem is not an expensive anchor.
As long as if you are just replicating your processes and approach from the data warehouse from your legacy to the Databricks, it may not be an advantage.
Sure. Yeah, fair, right? So like copies of data isn't super effective, I think is the net of that, right? Like, hey, why are we just going to continue to copy? Let's figure out how to either migrate, federate, et cetera, right? So we're going to talk about a lot of that today. So this slide I thought was kind of interesting, right? And I think it speaks to not just legacy, but also to what I think is challenging about migrations, right? And we see this, which is this kind of mounting of legacy or technical debt, right? Which is built on a database, a data warehouse built on a database. Kind of challenging when we talk about like leveraging the data that's in there to other use cases, higher value, more analytics, merging with non-data warehouse data, et cetera. Raw data, where is that in the database? And then obviously on the other side is the boxes, right? Which that's more traditionally sort of where we see that legacy concept. They're expensive. There's no, and then you get sort of, you're locked in, and then you're sort of in this cycle of renewals and constant negotiation. So I think we have something better.
Definitely we do. If we contrast that with Databricks SQL, with Databricks SQL, we have world-class performance and TCO because enterprises want to know that what they're getting is performant. They want to know that they get value in their new system testing. They also want to make sure that when they migrate to a modern platform, their code is portable, it's open, and it's ready to be integrated to the rest of their ecosystem. And last but not least, Databricks SQL comes with batteries included because we have dashboards with AI BI, which allow you to enable your customer and your customers' customers to do self-serve Q&A. So it comes as no surprise that over 11,000 of our customers choose to use DB SQL as their data warehouse. Well, let me tell you, I used to work for one of these, in one of these slides. In this slide, I'm not telling you which one. And we struggled quite a bit because we didn't we didn't have DB SQL at the time. So we tried to make our own platform and try to make it as useful as possible, but the UX wasn't great. So our ask of you today is that you tell your customers, you are in front of the customers all the time, we aren't. So we ask you to tell your customers about DB SQL. Tell them about the benefits of DB SQL, how it will make their lives easier and cheaper.
And a quick show of hands, who is familiar with DB SQL? Awesome.
Nice.
Everyone's familiar with DB SQL. That is awesome. Because it's not that old of a product from a cloud data warehouse perspective, right? It's only a couple of years old. And we've seen since its inception, right, continued improvements, continued expansion of features, which is why we get rated very highly in this industry, Gartner's industry. You've probably all seen this. I'm not sure who kind of uses these Magic Quadrants, but they seem to carry a lot of weight and a lot of value, right? So we're a leader in database management, in both Forrester and in, there we go. And just published recently, I think it was 2 weeks ago or within the last couple of weeks, we are now defined as the leader on data science and ML, which we've, as a company that was born in data science and ML, that's sort of to be expected. But it's pretty cool to be kind of out on the edge and be recognized as the leader compared to some pretty important company there. Now, it's not just machine learning, it's all encompassing of AI and the things associated with that. So where and so what, right? So we've got the rating and we've got the recognition, and we've got a product, but is it actually being used on complex data estates that you guys are all seeing?
Definitely, and you can see, so there are 3 very large customers up here, where again, their data estate is huge. They had multiple data warehouses at the core of their business, thousands of people querying these data warehouses every day. So when you're with a customer like that, and you're advising them on how to move forward on their data strategy, how do you make sure that they are democratizing their data, that they're simplifying their usage and they're making their process more streamlined? Well, if you look at these customers, you see that they not only had pretty sizable benefits from a cost and time perspective, but they also landed in an open format and an open platform. So it will really help them going forward. So that is a winning situation. That is a winning formula for your customers.
So I want to add one little thing here, impromptu, totally ad hoc. So I had lunch. I was sitting with lunch with the person who manages Databricks, I guess the apostrophe, Databricks' internal lakehouse. And so we got to talking, and in fact, Sergey is presenting there, like right now. He's in the next room talking about Databricks on Databricks usage of Databricks. And so 40,000, it ranges from 40,000 tables to 100,000 tables in our internal lakehouse. And one of the things that he talked about, so I was like kind of pressing him, like, hey, what's really good, what's not good? And the thing that he talks about as being kind of differentiated is this ability around monitoring and quality of those tables. And I think at scale, that's the piece that I think when it comes together, and what Guenia is talking about here with these large customers, 90,000 users, that's a lot of tables that's sitting in AT or sat in AT&T and GM. So I think you are at customers where there are very large on-prem data estates. DB SQL can handle it, and what we're going to talk about from a tooling standpoint can handle that. So don't shy away from 100,000 tables or 500,000 tables.
Definitely. So let's talk about how you do that. So we know that there are still a ton of legacy data warehouses and sources out there in the market. And in fact, the Amazon CEO says that the global IT spend it accounts for 85% of it accounts for on-prem service systems. So if you combine that with the expected growth of data warehousing to 70 billion in the next couple of years, well, listen, we need to make migrations easier because there's going to be a lot of migrations happening. So
how many of those migrations are going to happen? Well, I think it's actually going to depend on how many of you sort of combine or jump in and get smart on the tooling, right? So we have right now, Guenia is going to talk about this product, right? We're going to come out and you're going to see we've got a lot of source systems and more are being supported. Right now it's 10 plus. There are over 200 partners with expertise on the existing tooling that we've made available through the acquisition of Bladebridge. And so many of you in the room have either used Bladebridge before, used some of our open source tools and Databricks Labs, or got your own scripts. 2,000 so far of you have kind of signed up and taken and completed our training at some level. So, and that's either on the analyzer or converter. But we're adding a bunch of new stuff to this, which I think is why you're all here, to sort of hear a little bit about what that is. And, you know, yeah, all right, next slide. All right, so 1 and 2, right? So first stop, you know, how do we do this? Why do we do this? Align with a partner, right? You've heard this, and if you're in this morning's session with Corey, we're partner first, right? So from a migrations perspective, we want to align with the partner first, early in the process, so that you're available to either execute on that profiling and analyzing of the data estate, or we're assisting and providing that already done to you. That's like the strategy, align with a partner. And then the number 2 piece is define your payback, right? We used to be able to say, oh, the ROI could be, you know, more than a year, or it could be 2 years, or it could be whatever, X number of months out from, you know, from when that migration takes place to when the customer is really seeing ROI. I think that window is shortening pretty dramatically, so that we, you know, sort of benchmarking at a year, right? So it's cost neutral effectively in a budget year. We're actually seeing that sort of shrink. Some of that is the cloud funding, right? And the interest in cloud funding. And as we mentioned earlier today, we've got a lot of funding programs adjacent to cloud funding that you can sort of stack up and help drive and cover much of the services costs that that are required to make this migration work. But we're also seeing tooling and automation really shrink those timelines down. And so because of that, we see the ROI happening much faster, in less than 12 months for many, with the exception of the very, very large estates. That's shrinking, and customers are kind of expecting that. So we see a lot of different ways to do that. What else do we need to do?
we need to scope our migration, right? And that's where I'm here to talk to you about. But before we get there, I want to let you in a little secret that you can't tell anybody. But when we announced the acquisition of Bladebridge at the beginning of the year, that blog post where we announced that is one of our most read blog posts, can't say that, out there that we've put out recently. So, and why is that, you may ask? Well, I think it's fairly obvious. Our customers do want to migrate to Databricks. They're interested in coming in. They're interested in learning how can they do that, but be effective, cost effective when they do that. And the best way that we have to make that cost effective is improving our tooling.
Should we talk about Unity Catalog?
Yes, please.
All right. So everyone know what Unity Catalog is? Another show of hands. All right, so there's a few people in here that are like, hey, I've not heard of Unity. But I do want to talk about Unity because it's super, super important. The partner summit this morning, there were a couple questions from the audience that sort of left the feeling like, hey, not everybody really knows what Unity is and what Unity does, what Unity offers, and the extent of it. It's not just simply a catalog. It's a security and governance framework. It covers lineage. It does data. It does models. So you have the entire data estate. Whether that estate is actually stored and running within the lakehouse, or if it's federated and you're bringing that data in through some other means. Arsalan mentioned there's a number of announcements coming out that I think I personally am excited about. I have a data science background, and I used to hate sort of building pipelines. I just wanted to grab the data and then build a model. And some things that are coming out are going to make that a lot simpler, so I don't have to call a data engineer. I can actually just do that by itself. Federation, right? Lakeflow Connect, you're going to be able to connect, or you can right now, to stores like SaaS apps like Salesforce, ServiceNow, Workday, some of the foundations of SQL Server, and there's a lot more kind of coming into that pretty quickly, including some of the on-prem sources. So you sort of start to imagine a migration maybe like looks a little different, right? It's not this sort of like, flip the switch, hey, we got to get everything running, test it all, and then we flip the switch, and now everybody's on a new system. You can actually sort of move things and live in two worlds for a period of time, especially if you've got this sort of governance through Unity Catalog. So super important. You're going to hear about Unity Catalog and the requirement to have partners really specialize in Unity Catalog, and it's really specializing in security governance. So it's going to be Unity Catalog combined with HADR, combined with security frameworks, and kind of what that looks like, and some best practices around that within the platform. So more to come. It's not just Unity, it's Unity plus some of these other features that I think live in an on-prem world and will now be able to sort of also be visible in the cloud with DB SQL.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of migrations, Gartner put out this interesting image where they equate migrations, DBMS migrations, to heart surgery. The problem is these data warehouses are at the center of the operation of our enterprises. So when you remove that, and you have to be very careful about not disrupting the system. So the reality is that in the current state, migrations are unreliable. It's difficult to estimate the cost, the effort, the time they will take. The reality is that many tools out there that only do partial translations, so you end up having to do a lot of manual effort to, maybe they do only the SQL conversion and they leave all the ETL baggage behind that you have to do by hand after. And that results that at the end, you don't have a clear way of telling the business, hey, listen, you can shut off that other system. We can prove it. We show you the truth that this is all made safely here. So with automation tooling frameworks, we're really aiming to fix this. We're hoping to automate all of it. So we want to make sure that you can present your customers with predictable effort and estimates on your migrations so that they don't run over, they don't go over time, they don't go over budget. We want to present you with a tool that you can use to migrate a broad source set of systems of SQL and ETL. And we also want to present you with tools that you can use to also talk to your customers and boost their confidence that yes, the migration you did is correct and it's done and they can switch it off, they can unplug it. So at the beginning of this year, as I mentioned before, we announced the acquisition of Bladebridge. And by combining the tooling that they brought and our own internal tooling that we had created, today we want to talk to you about Lakebridge. So Lakebridge is a unified free solution for migrating more than 11 sources from data warehouses and SQL systems into Databricks SQL. Also, I want to mention that while we were building Lakebridge, we realized that we're not a migration company, right? What we want to do is that we, as Databricks, we want to empower you, our partners, to make sure that you have the tooling you need to migrate your customers to Databricks. So we want to give you a full end-to-end set of tools to help you on that migration. So first up, we want to give you a profiler. What is a profiler? I get this question all the time. Everybody gets confused. So a profiler is you're going to connect it to the source system of your customer, and you're going to understand what is their data state, how many tables they have, how many users do they have querying, what is their concurrency, what are the times that that data warehouse is really used that you don't want to be messing around with things that do not disrupt their business, right? So you want to plan your migration around those times too. Then you have an analyzer, which is more understood by the business now, which is of course looking at the source code and understanding what's the complexity that you're gonna have to incur to migrate that code into Databricks. How difficult is this code base? Then we have the conversion. This is a need. Whenever anybody talks about tooling, they always talk about conversion. There's so much more to it. But anyways, conversion, really important. Conversion is the one module where we really thought about you. So Lakebridge comes with 2 converters out of the box, ready for you to use. But we made the converter module pluggable because we know that many of you have your own tooling for doing conversion, right? So what we want to do is make sure that our tool is also friendly to yours. So we have defined a spec using, I'm going to geek out, but we're using a language server protocol to do this interface with your converters that you can choose to plug into Lakebridge. And what is the benefit, you might ask? Right now, there's not a lot. So the main one is that you get inline syntax validation for the code converter. But in the future, we plan to make all of these systems share information between each other. So you will have data from the profiler to the analyzer being shared to the plugged converters so that you can use that data to make better conversion options. Okay, and the last step is the validation, is the reconciliation to make sure that it's providing the business users with the confidence to say, yes, I see that the data that I moved is truly what I got on the other side. Okay, so with Lakebridge, we expect that you will be able to automate 80% of your migration tasks and accelerate your migration projects by 50%. So talk about competitors.
Let's talk about competitive landscape, right? So some of you know this this better than I do. So I'm going to touch on these few points.
We were nuts with the build, right?
I forgot that this was an extensive build slide. So, right, like SnowConvert and Snowpark pipelines, right? This is partial conversion. If anybody's used it, you know that it has a sort of pretty significant limit. You know, we don't have that limit on Lakebridge, and that's like the things and the features that are going to roll out on Lakebridge are going to sort of work end to end. That's the way it's going to roll out. It's going to go, all right, we get to do all the way through. We're not going to sort of piecemeal it out and short circuit some of your efforts so you're not, you know, sure of the risk that you're adopting. Second, on BigQuery, right, there's a bunch of tools in BigQuery. That's almost really not a Google provided. It's just like scripts, effectively. It's you know, super fragmented. We want, as Guenia said, to provide this single tool. Fabric has a migration assistant. That migration assistant is fairly limited. Certainly, they're focused to drive workloads or pull workloads off of Synapse. Maybe some of you have actually worked on that or worked with it. You know, right? I mean, if you want to move off Synapse onto Fabric, great. But if you want something else, then that's limited. And Lakebridge really kind of provides this broader set of capabilities to go to an open platform, an open lakehouse, and then do that from multiple sources. Synapse will be one of them, BigQuery, Snowflake, etc. But what if I need help, right? And some of you have worked on migrations with us, and are familiar with our professional services organization. I'm going to do it kind of real brief. Our professional services organization, the strategy is partner first, right? I started with that to say we need to, number one, align with a partner. That's the strategy. That's the strategy with professional services. I actually sit in the professional services org, so I work with Jason Martin, who heads that, and we are always driving. He's got metrics that are really about driving partner first and partner priming those migrations. When there is a stuck, when there is a need, when there's support needed, they do that through assurance model, and that's the sort of preferred way to get help. It's through an assurance model. We deliver through onshore and offshore resources, depending on how you do that or what your needs are. And there are relatively few exceptions, and those exceptions have to be made at a pretty senior level to move away from partner priming that migration. So what I think, what I've seen work in migrations of large scale is when we bring you in early, or when you're already there responding to an RFP and are looking for assistance, the sooner we can lock up together with our PS orgs who can say, here's the best practices, go for it, conquer, and make the migration work. Or here are the resources. Oh, you know, there's some complexity that's appearing out of the analyzer that you may need assistance with and configuration assistance with. We'll provide that as well. But it then you get the opportunity to package that into the migration. And we have funding through Accelerate to support those kinds of things. I know I see a couple of faces in here where I know that I've been personally involved in getting you Accelerate dollars and getting your projects that support. So PS for good is the way I sort of think about it. PS assurance for good. It's really to help customers move fast, get you best practices, and there's a lot of assets for you. And if that's not enough, then talk to me, and we'll figure out what we need to do to get more support for you. Now that I know what Lakebridge is, I know how to get support. Then what?
Then what?
Yeah.
I hear these guys like numbers. So let's talk about what do you get by using Lakebridge, right? So what do you have right now? Again, we're building this as fast as we can, but what do we have right now that you can access right now? On the profiler, we have our first profiler out for Synapse. The analyzer, I said 30 here, but really the analyzer, anything that queries data, guys, just throw it at it. It's really good. On the conversion side.
Does that mean like 100?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Are there 100 things that can query data? Maybe. I don't know.
Probably.
Could be. On the conversion side, right now we're sitting at around up to 70% of overall success with conversion rates. We have over 11 sources, both SQL and ETL, that you can convert from. 100% coverage on tables and views. We're working on storybooks. We know storybooks are hard, but out of the box, we will be able to convert to Databricks storybooks and SQL scripting. On the validation side, it's a really scalable and performant reconciliation module, so you can use it at ease no matter how big the tables that you're reconciling are.
So one of the things that I'm excited about that Guenia was talking, the engineering team was working on is, right, stored proc to stored proc, okay, but stored proc to DLT or declarative pipeline, much better, much more efficient, lots more opportunity for optimization, tuning, and really quality checking, those transformations. So that is being worked on, and if you've got insights, we want to hear about those and collaborate with you. I hear, Guenia, that there's another talk about Lakebridge during the keynote where they might be talking about some other things.
On Thursday.
On Thursday.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, so we should
Yeah, they should
encourage everyone to sort of
the
pay
Thursday
attention on
keynote.
Thursday
Yes.
during Arsalan's keynote. All right, so then my next question is, you mentioned free, but what's the catch? What does it cost actually? I don't believe that, Guenia.
There's no
There's
catch.
nothing on this
There's
slide.
No catch. This is purposely left blank because there's no cost to using this. This is open source. You can go, you can check it out today, right now, and you'll be able to use it with your customers right away. The fact that it's open source, it's also, again, as I mentioned before, because we're keeping you in mind, we want to work with you because, again, you do so many of these. Help us get contributions into Lakebridge. We would love to partner with our partners to make this product better. So now you know my name. Ping me. Let's work together. All right. So now that you know all of
does that mean that they're not required to get assurance services either?
No, they're not.
To configuration?
Not
okay.
anymore.
So
right.
Not required to get PS assurance as part of the migrations. However, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes you get into that spot where PS assurance is really a benefit for the customer. And we want to make that really fast and easy for you to do, and also identify vehicles for funding that. So it's not like, okay, what do I do now? I've got this extra cost that I don't know how to deal with. We are truly want you to be successful on these migrations. We want it to go fast, and we want you to shine in the customer's eyes. And I know that cost is a big component of this. So, yeah. So what's our call to action, or calls to action, I guess?
Yeah. So the first one John mentioned. Make sure you're at the keynote on Thursday. I mean, make sure you're at the keynote tomorrow too, but on the Thursday one specifically, for sure. The second one is that we're doing a deep dive into Lakebridge and all the details of the different modules. Today I covered it very high level, but if you're interested in learning more, today there's a talk at 5:30. I wish I knew the room, but I'm very confused with this building, so I don't know. It's called Comprehensive Data Warehouse Migrations to DB SQL. And it's happening today at 5:30. That's the first one?
That's the first one. All right, so the second one, I mentioned this sort of flood earlier of customers that are interested or seeming to be interested in trying to figure out how do I get into the Lakehouse? So what we would love for you to do is to start to position these assessments free, we will support in that pursuit. So again, I mentioned the PS assurance. It's not you don't have to pay to get the support, but we want to engage early and support you in these assessments. So let's get in to your customer and say, all right, let's do something together, because Databricks said we can do this. And you're working with them. You're the advisor, the trusted advisor for this customer. We'd love you to sort of step into that and be bold and ask for those free assessments, or ask to take part and initiate that. We also, to Guenia's point earlier around the collaboration, right? We know that a few partners in here that are building agents, which I think effectively, when you look at migration tooling, it's really a patchwork of agents, scripts and agents, but effectively different things that are really good at very specific tasks, right? And we think that some of the things that are coming out, and I think we're pretty certain of this, that some of the things that are coming out tomorrow and Thursday, if you're not familiar with our agent framework, our agent bricks, as Arsalan mentioned earlier today, we want you to step into that and then start to collaborate with your ideas around how to leverage the platform to add to that patchwork or to that quilt of migration tooling. I think what you get from a benefit there is that we want to do two things. One is help you understand the platform better. And by working on that in a collaborative way with some of our sort of agent experts, if that is a thing, it probably is going to become a thing, that'll help you. Number two is we want to fund in exchange for that collaboration. We want to fund through DB Express credits, TBD on what that looks like, but it's going to be meaningful, and that'll help you generate more opportunity, create more demos, and other things that support your pursuits with customers. So it's kind of a little bit of a flywheel to build, collaborate, and get smart on the platform. All right. Question? Yeah. Microphones. Here, I can do the simple one. All right, you go ahead, shout. Oh, yeah, DB Express. Anyone know? Anyone familiar with DB
Can I get that
Express?
question again, please?
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I just wanted to
Yeah, DB Express.
learn more about DB Express credits.
Sure. DB Express. So, right, that's our serverless offering. You're going to hear a little bit more about what that looks like tomorrow. But many of you, have already had this opportunity to sort of. It's the SaaS version of Databricks. DB Express is effectively the SaaS version. That's the way I think of it. It's the SaaS version of Databricks. I go in, click, push a button, boom, the entire sort of infrastructure is set up. It's all serverless. It has all the features of Databricks, and it allows for rapid prototyping. Partners use it for demo, for testing. They do some experimentation on it. And in the partner program, we're rolling out Sonal, who may be presenting in the same time zone here. She's providing the opportunity for you as a partner to say, hey, I've got this customer who's never worked with Databricks before, and we want a simple, fast path to turning on Databricks for them and getting data in. We're going to actually provide you with credits on DB Express for you to stand that up. So super cool. And then the exchange here of hey, let's work on tooling together is really to add to your pile of credits that you might already sort of be given.
Let's wrap up with the call to actions first and then take more questions.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Two things. All right. Two things. Number one, take your phones out, click on this QR code. Uh-oh, we have text over the QR code. I bet you it's not going to work. I just noticed that.
If we stop talking, maybe.
Does it work?
It works? No.
Oh, that's amazing. So, Tech Summit. Who's been to Tech Summit? All right. Yes. All right. So, the end of this, I'd love to see everyone at Tech Summit. So when I come back next year and ask for a raise of hands, I want to see everybody. Tech Summit is the one opportunity for you to sit with our field eng teams who are also going through the product and learning about the product and the platform. So they're getting learning and you're getting the same learning at the same time. And it's an exclusive offering to partners. There's a couple of ways to get into this. The next one is at the end of August, early September. So please opt in, because we can't just spam you with emails. You have to opt in and say, hey, I'm interested. Send me some info about it. It's really good. It's like 3 days, and it's deep dive. It is like top priority from a learning standpoint within FE. So super important.
And I also wanted to leave you with this for the documentation, the GitHub address for the repo. How can you find it in PyPy? So if you scan that, that'll take you to the documentation, and you'll be able to learn more about Lakebridge.
And this is cool documentation. I went out there yesterday seeing it for the first time, and I was like, oh yeah. Compared to what we used to see, Lakebridge is like, whoa, it's blowing my mind. And it's just starting, right? So Thursday you're gonna hear a little bit more, but fun stuff. Stop in at 5:30. I don't know if we're going to get pushed out, but if you have some questions right now, we could probably, she's smiling, saying I'm definitely not going to get pushed out.
Or we might be. I don't know. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about the historical lineage that you also want to carry forward. Yeah. Yeah. So good question. Good question was really about how do we, right? It's one thing moving the data and the queries and all of that, but the next question is, what about lineage? And what about all of the history that, especially in regulated, we want to maintain, we don't want to lose? How do we do that? I think, sort of the short answer is stay tuned, because we have some thoughts on how we accomplish that.
It's not available yet, but
yes,
it's on the roadmap.
It's in the queue. It's in the roadmap. Yeah.
I'll be really quick. Hi.
Hi.
What I wanted to know is I've worked with some of the Federation before on like Oracle, for instance, and my understanding is the performance of each Federation varies a lot. Can you kind of give me an idea of how it performs on Postgres, how it performs on MS SQL, et cetera, if you know?
I
Yeah.
don't have those.
So you're going to see a bunch of stuff coming out on performance across the board. So one thing that I'll just share, right, is what I've seen is some are choosing Federation when we probably would look at and say CDC is a better option, right? And you're going to get more performance instead of a pure Federation. Or if I want to hold on a Federation, then I better do a full copy. So Lakeflow is intended to sort of get you into a little bit better place there, but we continue to work on improvements on performance of Federation and query Federation. And you're right, each platform is a little bit different, or each source is a little bit different that we're coming from. But more to come on performance of Federation and federated tables in the next couple days. Yeah.
Sorry, one last quick question. I understand that Bladebridge and Lakebridge are not the same thing. Bladebridge is a plugin to Lakebridge. So the links that you shared, that open source, that for the core lake, like just the original Lakebridge, or does that include that Bladebridge ETL conversion? And if not, then what is the actual way for the partners to access the Bladebridge converter today? How do we actually access it if it's not on GitHub? Or is it?
So the code is not available on GitHub for the Bladebridge converter. What you will see is the open protocol calling the Bladebridge converter. So you can use it from the Lakebridge API. So when you do Lakebridge transpile, which is the actual code to execute the code conversion, you can specify, okay, use the Bladebridge converter to do that conversion, or use the other converter that is available. And we've provided you with a matrix of which one to use when we're fixing that.
So long story short, if we are migrating from Informatica, let's say, to Databricks today, then those links that you shared on GitHub, plus the pages with the documentations, are enough and sufficient for us to begin that conversion right away. Is that correct?
100%. And we have documentation in there. If you want to extend the configurations to make the conversions better, that documentation is also there. So yeah. It's okay. It's okay. You're welcome.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.